Hello, everyone, and welcome to the future of your firm, unlocking growth through integration, innovation, and insight. This webcast is brought to you by CPA Practice Advisor Magazine and Wolters Kluwer Tax and Accounting. I'm Gail Perry, Editor-in-Chief of CPA Practice Advisor, and I'll be your moderator today. Before we get started, I'd like to explain how CPE for the webcast works. This webcast will last no longer than 1 hour and qualifies for 1 credit of continuing professional education. If you plan to earn CPE for attending this session, you must stay with us for a minimum of 50 minutes. In addition, we will display 4 polling questions during the webcast. You'll need to record an answer for at least 3 of the questions, as this is our verification that you are still watching. Later today, you'll receive an email from CPA Practice Advisor containing a link to your CPE certificate, assuming you met the qualifications for certification. Please note that we can give CPE credit for multiple people at the same location. So if there are others in your office who would like to attend this event at the same computer, please have them join you now. At any time, you can enter questions in the Ask a Question box provided on the left side of your screen, and our speakers will try to get to as many questions as possible during this presentation. Questions not answered during the broadcast will be addressed by the speakers afterwards. If you have any difficulty answering our polling questions online, you can post your answers in this Ask a Question box as well, and we'll record them there. The slides for this presentation are available for download. You can find them by clicking the Event Resources option on the bottom left side of your screen, and there you can click on a PDF file which contains the slides. Today, we are joined by Stephanie Plaza and Gina Reed from Wolters Kluwer, and now we are ready to begin.
Thank you so much. Good day, everyone. Welcome to our session, The Future Ready Firm, Unlocking Growth Through Integration, Innovation, and Insight. We're excited to share the latest research, trends, and practical strategies to help your firm thrive in rapidly evolving landscapes. So let's introduce ourselves. My name is Stephanie Plaza. I am the Associate Director of Product Management for Tax and Accounting at Wolters Kluwer. And today I am joined by Gina Reed. She's a solution architect for tax and accounting. And together, Gina and I bring decades of experience in product management and also in tax. We're really passionate about helping firms like yours navigate change, whether that's in your firm or within your tax compliance software. So let's talk a little bit about what we're going to cover today and kind of the roadmap of what this afternoon will look like. We're going to start with an overview of the future-ready accountant and the top challenges that are facing small professional tax firms today. We'll showcase CCH Access in action, including demos of CCH Access Tax Essentials with PFX Scan and CCH Access Client Collaboration with Expert AI. And then finally, we'll discuss what's next for accounting firms and what the future looks like for you. So let's kick off by starting with our first polling question.
Okay, here's our first polling question today. What best states your firm's current staffing reality? And the answer options are satisfactory staffing for my current workload, continue the struggle to attract and retain qualified staff, choosing to rely on seasonal and or temporary contract workers, or depending heavily on new technology to offset staffing gaps. So choose the answer that is most closely aligned with the situation in your firm, and then click the submit button. And again, if you have any trouble answering that online, just post your answer in that Ask a Question box and we'll get it there.
I'm seeing some of the early results come in, and there's an overwhelming kind of clear leader here today, which is interesting. We typically kind of see the same answers throughout some of the different webinars that we do, and we do ask our clients and others in the industry this question often. It really helps us determine where we're going to focus our strategies in our tax compliance and tax workflow softwares. But overwhelming today here. So it looks like the clear winner today is the very first one, so A, which is satisfactory staffing for current workflow. We do see that a lot within our small firms, and hopefully today we'll be able to address that, right? Staffing is a critical issue, and your responses today, I think, are really going to highlight the areas that we want to concentrate on and share with you. Are we good to close out the poll?
We're all set.
Great. So let's set the stage here today. The accounting profession is at a crossroads. Firms are facing unprecedented challenges, regulatory challenges, talent shortages, and rapid technological advancement. In this section, we're going to identify key challenges and strategic priorities from the U.S. Future Ready Accountant Report. And obviously, we're going to take time to discuss the implications for your specific operations. So according to our research, firms are focused on multiple paths to grow over the next 12 months. One being grow revenue and profitability. That's obviously always a big goal for most of our firms. Also improving client service and engagement, making sure that you are taking time to expand the client base and invest in areas that will help you grow. And then lastly is attract, retain, and develop, or not lastly, sorry, attract, retain, and develop talent. And then lastly is streamlining workflows and processes, which will really help with the number 4 goal. So while these priorities will vary by firm size, the overarching theme that we see is growth, whether that's through new services, operational efficiencies, or talent development. Larger firms really focus on expanding services and market reach, while smaller and micro firms prioritize maintaining performance. Notably, streamlining workflows was once a top 3 goal, has shifted to 5th place. And cost reduction has dropped further down the list. And we really don't know why those shifts happen, but we have a pretty good directional indication. And that is because, one, firms are realizing that they must invest in technology to grow their business because of issues like with staffing concerns, right, and workflow bottlenecks. And so while we see growth and improving client services are always in our top 5, there are other goals that kind of come and go depending on where we are within our technological advancements and where we are within the staffing workplace. So what's holding firms back from really being able to grow and to hit their annual goals that they have? I want to talk about this in terms of firm size. So when you are a smaller firm or a micro firm, what we're seeing is that keeping up with changing tax laws and regulations is really the top challenge. There's just so much change happening. I think we say that every year. This year is another unprecedented year of tax law change. And that's not going to change, right? As administrations change, we see a lot of evolving tax laws. With those smaller firms, that's followed by technology adoption and pricing pressures. Now, when you move from the micro firms up to the small and the mid-sized firms, what's preventing them is really attracting and retaining talent, right? So we do see a lot of the larger firms, the big 4, they have the resources to go out and attract talent and get these kids right out of college, right? You know, a lot of them are working for them over the summers when they're still in school and they're interning. And so they kind of have this funnel of talent. As you move lower within the size of the firms, you don't have the resources to really support a model like that. And with large firms, the biggest hurdle that they see is really keeping up with the advances in technology because they're not as agile as smaller firms, right? So if a small firm is implementing new technology, that implementation timeline is cut down significantly just based off of the number of users that are using that product. But across all of our segments, regulatory change and technology are dominant challenges. So nearly 40% of firms, no matter what their size is, cite evolving tax laws as a top issue, and 36% struggle with the pace of technological change. Firms that embrace innovation and early adoption are really seeing tangible benefits. So we're looking at somewhere around 25% more are likely to report increased profitability just from early adoption of technology. So let's move from theory to practice. We're going to share some real-world examples of integrated tech stacks and how they're really transforming firm operations today. So let's talk about why integration matters here. Why is this so important? There are kind of three main areas that we focus on when we talk about integration and what it means for your firm. And the first one is revenue growth. So firms with fully integrated solutions are more likely to see higher growth. So over half of firms using integrated technology report an increase of 10% or more in their revenues just based off of how they're using technology within their tax workflow. Moving on to efficiency and accuracy, integration really reduces manual data entry at its core, right? That is the first use case for integration and automation and AI within a tax workflow. It also allows you to automate repeatable tasks and improves accuracy throughout all of the steps in your tax workflow. And then let's talk about confidence, right? So how confident is your firm in adopting these technologies, and what is that going to do for the future? Firms that have 100% integration, meaning their tax workflow, every piece of their tax workflow, every technology in their tax workflow works together, they are the most confident in their ability to meet client needs. 94% of them are extremely confident. So what's really interesting here is if you look at kind of these three areas where you can see profound growth within your firm, where you can see profound reduction in manual processes and keeping up with the needs and demands of your clients, each one of these ties back to those goals that we talked about in the very beginning of this presentation. So the integration isn't just about technology, it's about empowering your team to focus on high-value work and client service. So where are firms finding the most value from integration and automation? Now, there's a lot on this slide, and I'm not going to talk through each one of them, but I want to just read a couple of them to you. So 74% are seeing the most value with tax research that's integrated within the tax solution. 73% automated data and document collection from clients. 71% automated data entry. 69% comprehensive workflow automation or optimization. 67% drafting routine client communications and searching client data, and then 66% summarizing complex scenarios quickly and accurately. Now, imagine if your tech stack supported all of these functions. How much more impactful and efficient could your firm be? AI is making automation smarter and turning workflows into augmented experiences to help your firm grow. We're going to take a pause here for our next polling question.
Okay, this is polling question number 2. How is your firm currently using AI or advanced analytics in tax workflows? And your answer options are not using, piloting or exploring, regularly using basic AI and or analytics tools, or fully integrated use of AI for compliance and analytics. So pick the one that is most closely aligned with your practice and then click submit.
So your responses here will really help not only us, but your peers that are on this webinar help understand where you fall on the AI adoption curve and where their peers are falling on the AI adoption curve. I think that we will be slanted in one direction, and I don't want to give anything away yet while the responses are still coming in. But it is interesting to see who those early adopters are and what that means for their business when we're thinking about adopting some of these advanced technologies within your tax workflow. We'll give you a couple more seconds. Good.
Looks like just about everybody has answered at this point.
Okay, awesome. And so we're here today with a clear winner, once again, A, which is not using. I think it's interesting when you think about AI and those who answered not using. AI is something that you would be surprised. I could almost guarantee that you use every day. If you're using any sort of tax compliance software or any firm management software, and even in your day-to-day, right? So I think it'll be surprising if you really sit back and think about this, where you're using AI. And a lot of you are also piloting or exploring this, right? We've got a couple here, about 20% of respondents are regularly using AI. Which I find really interesting. So we've got a lot of early adopters on this call as well. So let's talk about future proofing. How can emerging technologies like AI and automation support compliance work and unlock time for those higher value advisory services that we're all going after? We'll discuss what you can do today in your firm to adopt some of these tools, and then what's going to be coming in the future. So the tax workflow has very distinct but integrated stages, from advising, engagement, review, compliance, data management, and post-filing. AI is supercharging automation, improving integrations between these integrated stages, and alleviating alleviating the pain that efficiency will help you grow and gain across every part of this workflow. So when you're considering technology investments, you need to start with what your biggest pain point in, whether that's data ingestion, analysis, or support. You want to focus on what you need to solve, not just the technology itself. I do a lot of these webinars and sessions, and across the board, when we're talking about adopting technologies, I always lead with setting goals for your firm. So today we talked about what goals we're seeing in the industry today through our survey that we put out annually. But I want you to think about what your goals are going to be. So when you consider altering your tax workflow, you're going to be the most successful if you define the goals that you want to accomplish first, prior to evaluating technology. So instead of looking at the technology and seeing what it can do for you, what you need to do is sit down with you and your team and identify gaps within your workflow, and then see if there is technology available to support that or to streamline that to help you gain efficiencies. I see time and time again a lot of smaller firms adopting technology, and it doesn't necessarily solve the problems that they have. It might solve a future problem, but it's not solving for the problems that they have today. And when it doesn't solve for those problems, it doesn't get fully integrated into the workflow, and you won't really gain the efficiency that you were making an investment in this software to do. So it's very important that you sit down and you define the goals of your firm before you invest in technology. So this infographic kind of shows our vision for tax. Starting with integrated data flows through the system automatically, right? And then AI adds a layer of intelligence that allows you to shift the role of the accountant focus on that professional expertise and analysis is really shifting from data entry to data analysis and then advisory. The data analysis and the advisory are those higher value services, right? We're seeing tax compliance, tax returns as a commodity now, right? It is something that you kind of add on to your overarching kind of strategy to gain business, and not necessarily what you're leading with and what firms are leading with today. But starting with data automation, data is automatically collected, extracted, and categorized, right? Then that data moves into tailored workflows where client-specific content and workflows are generated automatically. Leveraging AI allows these workflows to predict your firm's needs and navigation with things like automatic ties into context-based research. Speaking of research, having insights at the point of need with embedded research tools will deliver the help when and where your preparer needs it. An example of this is something that we like to call the swivel chair problem. We do a lot of customer research at Wolters Kluwer within tax and accounting. And we went to go visit a preparer a couple of years ago, and he was kind of known for doing a tax return the fastest, right? Like he had the software for a very long time. He knew all of the shortcuts, all of the hotkeys. And so we went to visit him to see kind of exactly what he was doing, how he was working within the software, and he could finish a tax return within minutes. But something that we didn't expect to see was that when he had a question, right, when he had some sort of context-based question, or he needed clarification on a tax law or legislation changes, whether at the federal or the state level, he was stopping what he was doing within the software, and he was turning around and reaching up on his bookshelf and getting a book down and looking through a book, and then putting the book back and then going back to it. Well, every time he did that, it added 5 minutes onto his return time, right? Now, he was known for doing the fastest return. But if he was doing a return, let's say in 15 minutes, he was really doing that return in 10 minutes because 5 minutes, it cost him 5 minutes to go and look through his book and understand the tax legislation changes for that specific scenario that he was working in. So imagine if you could eliminate 5 minutes from every single tax return, right? What would you do with that time? You could do more tax returns. You could offer other services. And so when I say think about the holes in your tax workflow, think about those manual processes as well. But I want to move on to kind of how AI shapes the review-based tools, right? So these tools will enable analysis and planning, which is really going to speed up the completion of that tax return and get that final version out the door faster and more accurately than it has done in the past. Integrated data and AI will allow accountants to focus on that expertise and client value and not these manual processes. So think about that. And I also want you to think about, what does the firm of the future look like to you, right? So this is a view of how we think the future of tax is going to look, but how does this impact your firm? And what does the future of these firms really look like? So the first step to a future-ready firm is getting out of manual data entry, right? That's the number one thing to do. There are many tools that help you do this, and with AI, it's only going to get better, faster, easier, and more accurate. And so we're really excited to announce the AI-powered CCH Access Scan tool. This solution automates the classification and extraction of client-provided tax documents, including K-1s, and puts those directly into CCH Access Tax. This is a game changer for tax professionals who are drowning in document processing. It's a breakthrough for your pain points. You can go from manual data entry to an intelligent automated extraction. This isn't just another document management solution. Gen AI understands tax documents. It classifies them and then extracts the data from them with unprecedented accuracy and speed. way faster than any human could do it. The solution IDs document types, extracts the info, and flows directly into the return. It's very significant. It is going to change that overall consuming aspect of tax preparation. The interface is specifically designed for junior advisors so that they can focus on verification rather than data entry, right? So we know that part of the staffing issues that we face in this industry are that the kids that are coming out of college or the young adults that are coming out of college don't want to do these menial tasks, right? A lot of us see it as a rite of passage, but they believe that they should be offering higher value. They've invested a lot in their education. And so leveraging tools like this are going to help those junior associates, junior advisors, junior preparers be more comfortable within the software and stay with your firm longer. You're going to be able to retain them longer. But overall, client collaboration is really, CCH Scan and client collaboration are designed to save hours, not minutes, actual hours. And it's going to help liberate your staff from this low value work, right? Letting them use their expertise in other areas that are really going to help grow the revenue of your business and grow the value of your firm to your customers. So I want to talk about how these emerging technologies are not just for large firms. And a lot of conversations with smaller firms that I have, they're intimidated sometimes by this technology. They're worried about price points. They're worried about implementation and training and kind of what it means for their firm. But small firms can leverage AI and automation to support compliance work and unlock time for other services, just like a large firm can. So we're going to discuss some practical steps that you can take today and what's happening in the future. So firstly, I want to kind of clear the air here on cloud-based versus hosted versus on-premise or desktop solutions. So cloud-based really means anywhere access. Not only can you access it anywhere, it's also vendor managed, meaning that you're not managing that software at all. You're just accessing it, right? It also offers seamless integration because it is cloud-based and browser-based, and it's more likely to drive profitability and growth because it is an advanced technology when you're comparing it to a hosted or desktop solution. So in these hosted and desktop solutions, a lot of times access is limited depending on where you are, what you're using, how you're using it. It is often costly to maintain. And there are less integrations because it is not cloud-based. And I want to share an example of the cost to maintain an on-premise solution. Marcel, who is a product marketer at Walters Cloring Tax and Accounting with Gina and I, we were out visiting some customers, and we spoke to a woman who was using an on-premise solution, and we were talking to her about the future of cloud and what that looked like in her business. And the very first thing she said, she got sticker shock. She goes, "Oh, well, that's $1,500 or $2,000 more than I'm paying today, and I'm not really sure that I'm ready to invest in that." And before we were even able to talk to her about efficiency gains or how it can reduce the time it takes her to complete a tax return. Now, she was doing 6,000 tax returns a year. So a small firm pumping out a lot of returns. Her daughter said, her daughter worked for her, and she said, "Mom, we spend $10,000 a year on a server to host this desktop application. So moving to cloud is actually going to save us money. It's not going to cost us anything additional." And so when you're evaluating software and you're thinking about desktop versus cloud, I want you to think about where you're spending money to support these desktop products, as well as the efficiency gains that you can have with more advanced technologies. Native solutions like CCH Access Tax and Scan are really built for flexibility and integration, supporting your firm's growth and efficiency. So leveraging cloud native platforms, like I said, is going to help your firm achieve your goals faster. And with that, I'd like to introduce CCH Access Tax Essentials, which is designed specifically for small firms. CCH Access Tax Essentials is a right-sized, cloud-based solution for small firms. It has turnkey onboarding with default settings, making it very easy to be up and running. It also has in-application learning modules. So a lot of times there is this barrier of change with tax compliance software because there is kind of a fear of the unknown, right? How do I navigate the software? What are the hotkeys? What are the shortcuts? What is worksheet import versus forms import, right? All of those things can seem really intimidating, but we have designed these learning modules to walk you through each step of the software. And that turnkey onboarding combined with the in-application learning is going to give you kind of a foolproof way to be up and running in no time with the software that is designed for small firms. We've also optimized the forms for small firm needs, right? We've optimized the settings within the firm, the forms that are available, and the UI. And then lastly, it's priced for value and ease of use. So it is designed to compete with other leading products and address the unique needs of the small firm, which we haven't really seen in professional tax in a long time. What we see are software companies going out with smaller packages, right? Smaller return counts for small firms to get the price down, instead of really focusing on what the gaps are in the market. They're just kind of reducing functionality. CCH Access Tax is very different from that. It is built with small firms in mind. So we're always investing in our small firm product portfolio, not just within tax compliance, but within workflow as well. So here are some of the new enhancements that we've had since the inception of CCH Access Tax Essentials about 2 years ago. So we have enhanced that setup wizard. Like I said before, implementation is a big barrier of change for firms. And so we've totally streamlined that onboarding experience. It launches directly from within the Access suite. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to do anything else. Everything is done directly in the software. We've also launched a learning portal. So in addition to the e-learning that you get access to and the in-application learning, there is a learning portal that is directly integrated that gives you content in form of micro-learning, so small snippets of information that are very easy to digest at your fingertips. And then we've also optimized the forms and the schedules that we have available. So before we move on, we do have our third polling question.
Okay, this is your third out of 4 polling questions. Which best describes your firm's use of tax technology tools? And your answer options are mainly manual workflows, like including Excel or paper, some basic automation, such as templates or macros, professional tax software with some automation, or advanced tools, including AI and workflow integration. So answer the one that's most closely aligned with your practice, and then click the submit button.
Seeing some of those early responses come in. And once again, we have a clear leader. So it looks like about 63% of you are using professional tax software with some automation. I wish that this was an interactive webinar, because I would love to talk to you about the types of integrations that you're using and where you're using them in your firm. It's always very interesting to me. But you can put those in the question box if you have anything you want to share, because I love to hear about how firms are adopting integration and automation today. But moving on, we're going to see Access in action. So Gina is going to do some demos for us today. And then when she's done, we'll discuss kind of what's next for accounting firms and how you can prepare for the future. So Gina, are you ready to go?
I am. Thank you, Stephanie. I'm going to share my screen out here for everyone to see. I'm very excited to be here today to show you guys CCH Access Tax Essentials in action, as well as our scan and auto flow technology, and on the front end, our client collaboration with Expert AI. So I've shared my screen out here. This is the Access dashboard. This is a single sign-on that each user will have and have access to our tax application. Now, the Access Suite, it is created to be a full firm management suite, and it leverages the power of integration. So you'll see things here on my dashboard, such as tax. We have time and billing modules, document management, project management, but it is modular and it's designed to be built to fit your firm's needs. Each of the applications, whether it's tax, client collaboration that we're going to talk about today, or our scan and auto flow technology, they all talk to each other because you will have one common core database that houses your client's information. This greatly reduces the risk of redundancy or errors. When I launch our tax program, our return manager here, you'll see that this is one single application that will hold all of your tax returns across all tax years, current year, and 7 years prior. This will also hold all of your core return types. You'll be able to easily search for your clients by their names, or you can now filter out specific clients or specific information, like possibly assigning a return status to your return so you can easily track where you're at in the tax return process. And then having the ability to easily filter out and maybe see all of your tax returns that are ready for review. Since Access is a cloud-based solution, you never have to worry about data loss. Anytime something's keyed into a client's return, that information is auto-saved. If you were to lose internet connection or power, when you reopen that client's return, your data will still be there. Another benefit of cloud-based is automatic backups of your client's return. So every time a return is saved, you have the ability to revert the return back to a previous date and time if you ever needed to. Now, the benefit of our Tax Essentials package really being aimed at our smaller firms is that you still get access to the same tax engine that our larger firms are using. When I launch a client's tax return here, and we're going to take a look at a client, John Smith. When I launch his return here, first thing we'll see is a nice return dashboard. This return dashboard is designed to really bring all the critical information about your client into one place, so you're not having to hop around and piecemeal this information together. So right away, you'll be able to see all taxing authorities, their due dates, whether you filed an extension or not, any refund or balance owed coming to this client. You get a nice 2-year comparison, key differences between last year and this year. Now, Access is designed to be multi-monitor, so you can have the prior year return open if you wanted to. You can actually have as many returns open at once that you need. Just by looking at this dashboard, It can help you in determining maybe budget hours left to spend on this client, being able to quickly see how many e-file errors or diagnostics that need to be cleared, and then also quickly seeing the complexity of this client's return. This can help you, again, with budget hours, but also determining which of your staff is best suited to work on a client of this complexity. My client, John Smith, he has 5K1s, at-risk basis, QBI depreciation, pretty complex return. Another feature that you'll see on the dashboard that Stephanie briefly mentioned earlier is moving into more of that advisory role for your clients. With CCH Access Advisor, we bring actionable insights to your fingertips right within your client's return. So right within my client John Smith's return, I can see tax compliance events that could be impacting him for federal and all 50 states. I can see advisory services that I could be providing to my client, as well as tax planning opportunities, all brought to me by leveraging AI predictive intelligence, having AI scan your returns to determine if they meet the criteria of these events. Now, Access should feel very familiar to everybody just looking at it here. We did design it to mimic Microsoft Office. So you do have your blue color scheme going on. You've got your different tabs up here at the top. And that's because when you do data entry into Access, you do it, it has integration with Microsoft Word, Microsoft Outlook, as well as Microsoft Excel. We did design data entry with simplicity in mind, just following the logical order of the tax return. So no matter what type of return that you're in, whether it's a 1040, 1120, 1065, etc., it's just going to follow the logical order of that government form. So when you're looking at a 1040 here, of course, you're always starting with your client's basic information at the top of their return. You start with line 1 of the 1040, wages, interest, dividends, etc. Now, instead of your staff having to do the manual, tedious data entry into each of these forms, we want to talk about leveraging technology to help you with this data entry. So I want to introduce you to CCH Access Scan and Autoflow to help you automate this process. What this looks like is using technology to read and organize your source documents for you. What we have designed is what's called a scan funnel. The scan funnel is backed by an AI Smart Scan OCR technology. What you'll do is dump all of your source documents into the scan funnel, no matter if you are receiving them electronic already, or if your client is still mailing you or bringing you in paper. You'll just scan those paper documents into electronic format, drop them into that scan funnel. The scan funnel will read, organize it for you, saving you tons of time. And then on top of that, leveraging our autoflow technology, potentially having 60 to 80% of your client's return auto-populated before that first person even opens it. That first person getting into it is going to be acting more as that first level reviewer versus having to do that data entry. All the forms you see up here on screen are the forms that are able to be auto-flowed. Now, our scan technology will be able to read all forms that you give it and organize them for you. The forms that are auto-flowed are all of those IRS-issued forms, W-2s, 1099s, combined consolidated 1099s. It'll get all your 1099B transactions, as well as even reading those outside source K1s. The power of our scan funnel, it's pretty incredible. You can feed it any type of file, whether it's a PDF. Your client takes a picture of their W-2 and emails it to you, JPEG, PNG, Excel. It'll read all file types, convert those to PDF, and organize them for you. Now, lastly, what I want to introduce you to is another product called Client Collaboration. We've looked at how Scan and Autoflow automates the prep side of things for you, but let's talk about how we can get the front end of gathering documents from your clients faster with a lot less back and forth. With CCH Client Collaboration, your clients will receive an email and a link to log into a hub. Now, they do not need to create a user ID. They don't need to remember a password. It'll be a secure link that they use to log into their hub, branded with your firm logo, and really lays out step by step what you need from them for the entire tax preparation process and delivery. So first thing that they will do in their client collaboration hub is potentially signing their engagement letter. Right here in this hub, they are able to preview, download, and e-sign it all within one screen. Our client collaboration hub is designed to be mobile friendly. So it's actually designed mobile first, so your clients can do this right from their mobile device. They'll simply come in, read their engagement letter, apply their signature, and submit. Once they have e-signed their engagement letter, you can enforce the engagement letter signature before your client even moves on to filling out their organizer and uploading documents, or they can do them simultaneously. Once that engagement letter has been signed, your client will get a nice visual of where they are at in this process. So they'll move to their data collection. In this section, they will have a pre-populated questionnaire that is populated from last year's return. So that information will pull in and have questions from last year. All they have to do is come in and verify this information is accurate or make any changes as need be. They have a section for taxpayer, spouse, dependents, but the most important section in here is their taxable events. So based on the questions that they answer within their taxable events, they'll have additional questions that become available at the bottom. Based on the additional questions that are asked, there is potentially new documents that will be requested on their curated document request list. So client collaboration helps your clients review and e-sign their engagement letter, fill out their questionnaire, and also gather their documents. Their curated document request list will be pre-populated with forms that were in last year's return and new documents based on new questions that they answered in their questionnaire, broken out between income items, deduction items, and potentially other items. Our client collaboration hub is fully customizable, so you can add in your own custom questions to the questionnaire, as well as custom documents that you want to receive from your clients. Now, your clients can come in and upload their documents one by one, or they can simply come in and upload all of their documents at once. This software is backed by an AI Smart Scan technology. This AI Smart Scan is going to be able to read and organize and assign these documents for your clients. So if I come in here and I drop just a bunch of source documents in different formats, we will see that the Client Collaboration Hub is able to read, organize them for us, and tell us where these documents need to be assigned to. So you'll see it going through a virus scan, scanning and classifying. And again, this being a mobile-friendly application, your clients can take a picture directly from their mobile device, take a picture of their W-2. It will run it through that smart scan, make sure it's clear and legible before actually uploading it. After it's read and classified and matched the documents to the items that it belongs to on the document request list, then your client is able to submit these documents to you. If they are missing documents, it will ask them if it's no longer needed or when they will be receiving those documents later. Once your client uploads those documents to you, they will have access to coming into their missing items, as well as receiving routine automatic reminder emails to get those missing items to you. From the firm's perspective, you will have a nice visual of where your clients are at in this entire process. So you'll have a visual dashboard. You'll be able to see which of your clients have logged into their client collaboration hub, how many documents they've uploaded to you, and how many questions on their questionnaire that they have answered. Now, we ran through this very, very fast. There is so much capability and functionality in all of these products. We would love to do a one-on-one demo for you and dive deeper, but together you can see how CCH Access Tax, Scan Autoflow, and Client Collaboration create a fully connected workflow and really eliminates those manual steps. It's going to help you reduce errors and dramatically accelerate your turnaround time. And with that,
Gina, thank you so much. That was a great demo. The slides back up. So we have about 10 minutes left, so we're gonna start closing out. And before we do that, I want to take a few minutes to talk about the future of your firm and how a trusted business partner like Wolters Kluwer can help you achieve your goals. So starting off, I said this before when we talked a little bit about tax essentials. We are always evolving, we're always getting better, and we're always making investments into our software, into our staffing resources, and into technology. And because of that, I wanted to share with you some of the quick wins that we saw this past tax season. So last year, we saw an almost 20% increase of firms using CCH Access Tax. This is huge. We are leading in the cloud transformation, in the migration from desktop to online products. CCH Access Tax was the first cloud native tax compliance software in the market. And because of that, we have got a huge head start on some of our competitors. Also, 95% of Accounting Today's top 100 firms use at least one CCH Access module. And why is that important, right? This webinar is focused at small firms, and it's because the way that we build our products allows small firms to have access accessible to them. The same products, the same software that larger firms are using are readily available and accessible to smaller firms. And that's really important because it gets you all of the top tax compliance tools that you need in your workflow in order to be successful and in order to be able to support your clients. 20 of the top 25 fastest growing firms use CCH Access. They're growing quickly. They are growing quickly for many reasons. One of those reasons is because they are using fully integrated cloud native solutions that are letting them gain efficiencies within their workflow, letting them get more work done in a day, and really accelerating their growth. And talking about tax compliance, like I said, giving small firms, making tax compliance accessible for small firms, we are the leader in forms. This past year, we added over 160 new forms for a total of 4,255 state and federal tax compliance forms that are available. So these numbers really reflect the trust and the innovation that is driving our solutions and is driving the future of tax preparation today. So what's your firm going to do with all this free time now that you have, in the past 15 minutes, adopted AI and automation, right? If you look a lot like the rest of our firms, you're going to be focusing on advisory services. So modern AI-enabled technology can help you drive this growth. Once again, can empower your staff and improve those services. Where does it really help though, right? Using this advanced technology, you can easily alert your clients about relevant changes. You can generate natural language research summaries and client letters to be shared automatically when a tax event is impacting any of your clients. And it gives you real-time analytics that you can turn into actionable insights to become that trusted partner for your clients and to enhance those client services, right? So using these tools that you see on the screen here in your advisory services is really going to help transform the way that you approach this part of the market. And this transformation is driven by AI in many different areas, right? Data-driven firm management, increased efficiency and capacity, enhancing those client services, and almost most importantly is the proactive risk management piece of it, right? And then taking all of that together and being able to provide these actionable insights to your clients, being the one that they go to for this trusted business advice. And so what else is coming in the future here? The CCH Access ecosystem includes intelligence, reports, analytics, Answer Connect, Schedule Optimizer, and a whole lot more, which is great. But our roadmap just continues to grow as technologies become easier to adopt, right? So things in the future that we're really focusing on are advanced scanning, right? Really getting down to a no-touch tax return, predictive impact monitoring, conversational AI, taking all of those tax law changes and legislative changes and getting them to your clients' hands in a way that they understand them. And then finally is obviously that launch of the no-touch tax return, right? Being able to get the source documents to review automatically. That is where we're focusing. So this positions Access as the leader in automation gains, helping you gain efficiencies in your firm. And let's move on to our final polling question.
Okay, everyone, polling question number 4. Which of these solutions would you like to learn more about? And you can choose CCH Access Tax Software Cloud-based, CCH ProSystem FX software on-premise, CCH Access Client Collaboration with Expert AI, or you want to learn about something else. So pick whichever one. Actually, you can hold on Control, and it'll let you pick whichever ones you want. So you can have multiple answers here, and then click Submit.
Awesome. So while you're answering that, I am going to wrap this up today. So on behalf of myself and Gina and Marcel, who is answering all of your questions in the chat, I want to thank you for joining us today. We really hope that you leave with actionable insights and inspiration to future-proof your firm. If you'd like to, you can reach out to us with any questions. And don't forget to download the full Future Ready Accountant Report for more details. This deck is available to you, and in the appendix, we have some additional resources and partner information. So thank you so much all for your time today. We had a great time, and I hope you learned a lot and you're taking away some very important and vital information to help you achieve success in the future.
Well, thank you so much, Stephanie and Gina and Marcel in the background, for an excellent presentation. And thank you all, you who attended, for participating today. We also want to issue a great thank you to Walters Kluwer Tax and Accounting for making this event possible and enabling us to offer a free CPE credit to each attendee. As a reminder, you'll receive an email from us with your CPE certificate. The email's coming from CPA Practice Advisor, and it'll be later this afternoon. If you have any questions about CPE, you can contact me, Gail Perry, at gperry, G-P-E-R-R-Y, at cpapracticeadvisor.com. Also, if there are others watching this presentation with you at the same computer who require CPE credit, you can send me their name and email addresses, and we'll get certificates issued to them. Again, that's gperry at cpapracticeadvisor.com. We're about to put a post-event survey on the screen for you. We would appreciate it if you would take a moment to fill out this form so that we can continue to improve our webinar series. Again, thank you, everyone, and our audio will end now.